Right now, 57% of young adults between 18 and 29 are living with their parents. That is the highest rate since the Great Depression. The news says unemployment is low. The news says the economy is strong. But you look around and you see something completely different. You see friends moving back into their childhood bedrooms. You see college graduates working delivery jobs. You see couples in their 30s living with roommates because a one-bedroom apartment costs more than their monthly paycheck. So why does it feel like the economy is lying to you? You have noticed this too, haven't you? That weird gap between what the experts say and what your own eyes tell you. You are not imagining this. Let me show you the math that does not work. You find a studio apartment for $1,400 a month. You take home $2,800 after taxes. The old rule says rent should be 30% of your income. That would leave you $980 for everything else. Food, car insurance, gas, student loans, a phone bill, maybe a medical copay. That is about $32 a day for all of your life. One trip to the grocery store blows half of that. One check engine light blows the whole week. So you skip the dentist, you drive with the warning light on, you delete the delivery apps because that $40 actually matters. And then some politician stands on a stage and says inflation is cooling down. Cooling down to what? It is still hotter than your paycheck. You have felt this pinch every single time you swipe your card. Here is what a 10-year public school teacher in Ohio told me. She has a master's degree. She has been teaching long enough to have former students who now have their own kids. And she said, and I am quoting her exactly, "I literally cannot afford the apartment complex across the street from the school where I work." She parks in the staff lot every morning and looks at a building she cannot live in. That is not a luxury apartment. That is a standard two-bedroom complex built in the 90s. She makes $54,000 per year. The rent is $1,800 per month. The math does not work. So she lives with her parents at 34 years old, and she is one of the lucky ones because her parents have space. But it gets worse. A traveling nurse in Texas told me her hourly wage went up 8% last year. She felt good about that. She felt seen. Then her lease came up for renewal and her rent went up 22%. Her raise was a pay cut in disguise. She now lives with her parents because the alternative was working 60 hours per week just to hand her landlord every single dime. She said, and I am quoting her, "I save more money paying my mom $300 per month than I ever did living alone." That is the reality. She is a nurse. She saves money by moving back into her childhood home. Now look at the recent graduate. Entry-level wages have risen about 12% since 2020. That sounds good until you hear the rest. Rent has risen 30%. Groceries are up 25%. Car insurance is up nearly 40%. You are running faster just to fall further behind. That is not a feeling. That is arithmetic. And here is what they do not tell you about the official unemployment number. It does not count people who have given up looking. It does not count people working part-time who want full-time work. It does not count the barista with a bachelor's degree. When you add those people in, the real number for young adults is closer to 1 in 5 struggling to find stable work. You have noticed this too. You have seen the help wanted signs that lead to 20 hours per week with no benefits. Here's what is really driving this. And I want you to listen carefully because this is the part the real estate lobby does not want you to know. Corporate landlords are using algorithmic pricing software. A company called RealPage makes software that basically allows landlords to share their pricing data and coordinate rent increases. It is not supply and demand. It is collusion. Dozens of cities are now suing these companies because they turned apartment pricing into a rigged game. One property manager in Seattle leaked internal emails showing the software told them to raise rents even when buildings had empty units. They raised them anyway, and they got away with it for years. But that is only part of the story. We also have a massive policy failure that started 20 years ago. After the 2008 housing crash, home builders went out of business and never fully came back. We stopped building. Cities made it harder to build. Zoning laws got stricter, neighborhood groups blocked new apartments, and now we are short nearly 4 million homes. 4 million? That is not a small shortage. That is a catastrophe. When you do not have enough homes, prices go up. When prices go up, landlords charge more. When landlords charge more, you move back in with your parents. Simple as that. And then there is the wage problem. Here is a number that should make you angry. Productivity in this country has gone up 80% since 1980. That means workers are producing way more value per hour than they used to. Wages for young workers have gone up only 15% over that same period. Where did all that extra value go? It went to corporate profits. It went to CEO pay, which has gone up more than 1,000%. It went to stock buybacks. You are creating massive wealth every single day you show up to work. You just are not allowed to keep it. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is the documented reality of how the economy has been restructured over 40 years. But it gets worse, because now corporations are buying single-family home. Blackstone, Invitation Homes, and other Wall Street firms have purchased hundreds of thousands of houses to turn into rental properties. They outbid regular families with cash offers. They do not care about the neighborhood. They care about the return on investment. So the house you might have bought with an FHA loan and 3% down, gone. Turned into a rental at $1,800 a month. And when you cannot afford that either, you move back home. Now let me show you the broader pattern, because this is bigger than just housing. Moving home does not just affect your wallet. It affects your entire life timeline. You cannot date seriously when you are living in your childhood bedroom. You cannot get married when you have no privacy. You cannot have children when you cannot afford a second bedroom. And guess what is happening? Birth rates are collapsing. They have been dropping for 15 straight years. Young people say they want families. They are not having them because they literally cannot afford the space. The cost of childcare alone is higher than rent in most states. So you put off marriage, you put off kids, you put off everything, and then people call you immature. You are not immature. You are making rational decisions in an irrational system. There is also a mental health tax that nobody talks about. Living with your parents at 26 does not make you a failure. It makes you a rational actor in a broken system. But the shame is real. You see your friends on Instagram living in city apartments. You do not see their 3 roommates. You do not see their credit card debt. You do not see that their parents are paying half the rent. You just see the highlight reel and feel like you are behind. Anxiety medication prescriptions for young adults are up 35% in the last 5 years. Therapy appointments are booked out for months, and a huge part of that is financial anxiety. The constant low-grade panic of knowing you are one emergency away from disaster. And here is the wealth transfer nobody warned you about. Instead of saving for a down payment on a house, your money goes to your parents' increased grocery bill. Instead of investing in retirement, you are helping your mom pay for the new water heater. You are cannibalizing your own future to pay for the present. And the present is expensive. Groceries alone have gone up so much that a family of 4 now spends an extra $200 a month compared to 2020. That money has to come from somewhere. It comes from your savings. It comes from your dreams. It comes from the down payment you will never make. This is not temporary. This is the new normal. And here is what is coming next that should concern everyone. The great wealth transfer that young people were promised is not coming the way you think. Boomer parents are living longer. They are spending more on healthcare. The average couple over 65 will spend $300,000 on medical expenses in retirement. That money is not coming to you. It is going to nursing homes, to prescription drugs, to hospital bills. So do not count on an inheritance. Most young adults will inherit nothing or close to nothing. And if they do inherit something, it will come when they are in their 50s or 60s. Too late to buy a first home. Too late to start a family. Here is what happens when a generation of educated, hardworking people realizes the system is rigged against them. They stop playing by the rules. Quiet quitting becomes loud quitting. Labor strikes are already up 40% from last year. People are realizing that loyalty does not pay. Working 60 hours a week does not pay. Getting a master's degree does not pay, so they check out. They do the bare minimum. They stop believing that hard work leads to success. And you know what? They are right. The data shows that young workers today are the first generation in American history who will be poorer than their parents. That has never happened before. Not during the Great Depression, not during World War II, not during the stagflation of the 70s. This is new, and it is terrifying. You are not alone. Millions of Americans are experiencing this exact math right now. Look in the comments on any video about housing or rent or moving back home. Hundreds of teachers, nurses, electricians, and recent graduates are saying the same thing. They cannot make the numbers work. They feel crazy because the news tells them everything is fine, while their bank account tells them everything is broken. Stop blaming yourself for a system designed to fail you. Stop comparing your life to your parents' life at 25. They played a different game with completely different rules. A summer job paid for college. A starter home cost 2-year salary. A pension meant you could retire with dignity. Those rules are gone. They are never coming back. The goal is not to just move out. The goal is to realize why moving out has become impossible. And once you see that, once you understand that this is not your fault, you can stop carrying the shame. You can stop feeling like a failure because you live with your parents. You are not a failure. You are a victim of 40 years of policy choices that prioritized corporate profits over human dignity. Share this with someone who feels crazy for noticing it, because the first step to fixing a broken system is admitting that it is broken. And right now, 57% of young adults already know the truth. They are living it. They are just waiting for someone to say it out loud.